We're live. Indeed. One more Tuesday, the last Tuesday, I would say, for this year, for this crazy year, if I may say, from my view, crazy with a lot of funny things and interesting stuff. And I think we chose the right man for this because this year we have a person that it's exactly fits on everything that is happening in 2024. And I think sometimes even we will come later to that, and I will say there was a sign sometimes why this happened to switch the dates and all that stuff. Hakan, you will get that point why I'm saying all of this, mate. But to finalize and summarize this tonight, we have how to say, I met him a couple of weeks ago in Oslo, and he's quite nice person, a very nice person, and all that stuff. And what is most important, he is Microsoft AI MVP. And this year, I would say everything went to the AI. And I think our guest tonight, my friend, I can say that, Hakan, he will give us immediately some tips and tricks, maybe later on, and also to ask him and welcome him on this podcast. Mate, before you start, what will happen with AI in 2025? Immediately.
Yeah, so what I would say is that we're probably moving from more AI assistants like we have right now with ChatGPT and so on to a more agentic world where we can basically just tell the AI agent that I want you to produce this thing, and the AI agent will go out and produce it without us having to program it. So that's what I envision here for 2025.
Nice. Now, welcome to our podcast. And tonight we have Hakan. Indeed, because AI is everywhere, and we just have a small catch up basically. And I'm still impressed because today, we have. I was sharing with Hakan about the today's scenario that we were doing call center with AI and all that stuff. So, indeed, welcome, mate. How are you?
Thank you so much, and thank you for a very nice introduction, Martin. So I feel really honored here to be able to close out the first year here of this podcast, and I don't know, maybe we will also have some time to look into the crystal ball for 2025 and see maybe from a technical point of view what we think can be important themes there for the next year.
Indeed. I mean, a lot of things I think also will come next year related to this topic, also AI. Basically, we see what happened in 1 year. Basically, 2024 went completely on AI, copilots, GPT, this, that, models here, they are everywhere, if I may say like that. So a lot of new things and a lot of stuff that is happening. But immediately rings the bell to me to ask you how was in Netherlands last week. Now, that's more important because you were presenting something interesting there. I saw some pictures.
So basically, last week there was an AI community day arranged in close to Utrecht in Netherlands, and it was basically a community organized conference. So I was speaking about how you can combine different types of technologies like Azure OpenAI, and you can combine semantic kernel, you can combine Prompty in sort of a Christmas theme presentation. So basically what we set out here to do was that now we're approaching Christmas, and then you have two challenges here. The first one is to buy a Christmas present, but then when you bought a Christmas present, then you need to come up with a Christmas rhyme, and maybe some sort of illustration. So that's what usually people are doing the last week before Christmas. And then since I'm not that talented in rhyming, because this Christmas rhyme needs to be rhyming in a particular way, then I thought that maybe I can, level out the field and also come up with some good Christmas rhyme. And why not try to use AI? So what I did was I created an AI. So first you can write that I want to give, for example, a pair of shoes or maybe a book or something, and then you feed that into the AI, and then you will get back a Christmas rhyme, and then you can ask them, can you create an illustration? And then you will get like a Christmas themed illustration with either Santa Claus and with many red colors and so on. And as a matter of fact, I will actually talk or present about this on the 22nd of December. So if someone is interested, they can look at the festive tech calendar on the 22nd.
22nd of December, indeed.
Mhm.
So all of you guys are invited. For those who are willing to learn something with the AI, we have the right person tonight, and basically on 22nd you still have time. It's about the festive calendar. I think it was what Gregor is doing
Yes.
all that stuff, and yeah.
Mhm.
And basically, I think it's nice also for other people to mention that the festive calendar is the whole December. You have different sessions, so you can take a look, all of you there that are curious to learn something new, and especially what Håkan will present there. I will watch that for sure because I missed that one in live last week in Netherlands, but I will watch this one, which will be online. Indeed.
And I think one thing which was also interesting was that, as this was a free event, not everyone was a developer. There were many people who were there just out of curiosity to learn more about AI. And then you can see here, like AI has actually come into the language of everyday people. So people were talking about prompting, about prompt engineering. They were talking about RAG applications. So, for example, I've been in this field since 2018 or 2019, and if I would have gone out and said that, I'm working with AI, just go out on the street and say that, then people would look like question marks. They wouldn't really know anything about AI. But since sort of the birth of ChatGPT and all of this, now people have this into their everyday vocabulary, and most people have also actually tried out either ChatGPT or DALL-E or any of the, like the third party commercial AI services. And I think that's actually quite important here, that AI has been more democratized. So right now you don't need to be a developer, you don't need to be a data scientist, you just need to have a good ID, and then you need to know about that there is actually a tool, and then AI can help you transform that ID that you have into something tangible.
Yeah, there is a lot of improvement also with the AI Foundry. I think they now have something like generate prompt, if I saw good, couple of days ago, where it can help you basically to have a better prompt and all that stuff. But now it triggers me basically also, and I think you're the right person for this question. For example, we see also, I think also I have seen the AI Foundry now in the OpenAI Studio in Azure, a lot of different models and all that stuff. For example, because I'm using also ChatGPT, I wanted to ask you, maybe you know, maybe not, doesn't matter, but I'm curious about what is the meaning previously. For example, let me quickly, it says now you have GPT-4o, you have O1, and you have O1 mini. What's the whole meaning, if I may say like that? I understand it's a models, but what's the main difference, if I may say like that, mate?
Yes, so the main difference is actually in cost. How much cost does it make? Because every time you do a request to large language models, you need to it needs to transfer back something they call tokens. So basically, all of these language models are being charged on the amount of tokens that they will send back. And then some of these are a lot cheaper. Like if you have a model that is called the 4o Mini, for example, is one of the better models, because then you can combine. So the 4o stands for Omni. So that means that it's in general good at everything, and not just summarizing text and so on, but it can also handle trying to solve logical problems and other things.
Indeed. And based on data, basically, I suppose that the O1 has more data than the O1 mini, logically. I'm just thinking because this one is mini and the other one is a full one, if I may say it like that.
Yeah. So the thing is that you shouldn't. I mean, one good design principle here is try to use the smallest model that you can. So if you don't need a really, really large model, don't use it, because then you will be spending more than what is necessary.
And what is the whole meaning of a small model? What means, if I may say, if you need to explain to logically, I'm saying just thinking loud with you.
Yeah, so if I can make a comparison here to like a neural network. So in a neural network, you have one input node, and then you have an output node, and then you have several type of layers here with nodes in between that does this calculations. So if you have a small model, then you have fewer of these nodes in between. So that's what it makes it a smaller one.
Okay. One more question related to that. When you see, for example, how are they called? Gemini. We have the Copilot. We have ChatGPT and all that stuff. Is the data in the background, if I may say, because they are improving all the time, the data, if I may say, and the answers that the how it's called, the not the bots. What was the name? The things that are provided to us, the answers, if I may say like that. Is it a big difference in the data in the background of the models? Because I suppose logically Gemini use some other model. These guys are using one model. Copilot is using another model, or it's not working like that.
Yeah, it's so the models are sort of from a technical point of view a little bit different. So that's also one thing that is important to take into account. So maybe you try out with a GTP4 model, but then you can try with the Gemini model and see maybe for your use case you will get better result with one or the other. And and the good thing is that now we can do that. We have Hugging Face, for example, with many different models that you can try out. So I think a lot of these AI projects is a lot about trial and error, basically, or trial and fail or succeed. So you just need to you try something, and then you need to make sure that you can get feedback, you can get the result back, and then you need to adjust. For maybe you will change some parameters, or maybe you can change the input prompt or the system prompt, or you can try a totally different model and see what kind of results you will get back.
Indeed. And because you mentioned it, now it triggers me one more question, because 3 weeks ago I was involved with this, what you mentioned, Hugging Face especially. If I stop you thinking about from AI perspective, and when you think from another perspective, for example, what is your personal opinion about Hugging Face? For example, I'm thinking more from security side, because it's not that I'm the only in this side as a decision maker, for example, in my use case, but we block it. The URL address, I must be honest, there was a lot of problems. A lot of developers rings the bell. Hey guys, I'm using this. What is happening? This and that. But it happened because there was a leak of data from some other companies that we noticed on the internet, and it was published officially somewhere, not from our company, but from other companies, and we decided to block it. How risky is the Hugging Face, if I may say, in your view, for people to start using more often, or all that stuff?
Yeah, I think we need to look at it in maybe a little bit larger picture here, because AI development is in many respects not so much different from regular development. And
True.
with regular
I agree
development,
on that. By the way, I agree completely with that.
Yeah. So with regular development, we always stand the risk here of a breach, and maybe of some like keys that get compromised, and so on and so forth. So what you can do is you can employ standard procedures, like having you don't have too much authorization than what is needed, for example, and that you don't get to be admin. You get the smallest access rights possible. You make sure that you change out the keys regularly, so if a key gets compromised, you will not run into that problem.
So if we rotate, for example, the secrets regularly, or we use security best practices, basically is not that you guarantee, but Håkan guarantee now, it's not possible. I'm just thinking loud with you, for example, because I see now, I just open it, it says 1,209 models. That's 1,209. It's quite a lot, really crazy a lot. And now I'm just thinking, I suppose it helps a lot, like for the developers, it helps, for example, GitHub and a lot of sources with code and the examples and all this stuff. So I think this is something similar on that one. And I think maybe if they use some maybe security best practices, or as you said, rotating the keys, not putting the secret where is not needed, and all that stuff, I think it can be used, in my view now, what I heard from you, to be honest with you.
Yes, yeah. But there's always, you always need to be, have a sound approach to these things. Like, for example, I don't know if you remember, Martin, here, but it was some years ago. It was on NPM. There was one developer that got angry, and then he removed a small package, which basically just removed some white space, I think, in a sentence, and then it almost broke down the whole internet, because a lot of JavaScript packages were building upon that particular package. And yes, so we always just needs to be aware of what are we actually dealing with here.
Indeed. And 1 million models. Wow. When they achieve this number, I'm really curious to know. 1 million models. Wow. Is there maybe GitHub 1 million repositories public available for help? This is way too much models, and the people. Wow, really crazy. I'm just going to page 2, page 3 now, left and right. It's quite a lot. Wow. So it thinks 2025, a lot will happen, I think. Basically, looking at what is happening now and the input that you gave now, which I'm quite thankful to you. Basically, and it's really crazy how fast is going everything. And let's see what will happen to 2025, but it will be interesting a lot.
And I also think it's a sound competition, or an interesting competition, because both you and me are Microsoft MVPs, but there are similar offerings from Amazon, from AWS, and from Google, from these big giants that has the economic powers to do technical breakthroughs. So I think there are a lot of exciting things to look forward to in 2025.
Indeed. What are your most used, if I may say, as a models? For example, privately maybe, or at work, what you use mostly as a models, if I may ask like that?
Yeah, so usually I'm quite conservative, so I'm using the GPT-4 model or 4o model, because that's basically, because that's what I'm used to, and it takes, I know what I'm sort of doing.
Yeah. Indeed. Today triggers me a lot about creating a better prompt, and I think after Christmas, because it will be a little bit period for taking some rest and family, if I may say like that. So I think the idea, or maybe I was just thinking even today when I was traveling back to home before the podcast, maybe it's good to all of us to think about, for, as you said, better idea, but I'm saying better prompt maybe to get some more complex data and some solution maybe, or all that stuff. Maybe it will be a big challenge, I would say, in 2025. I think there will be some hackathon. Who will come with a better prompt in 2025? It will be funny to see that, the people, how they think and all that stuff. But indeed, it will be challenging, and a lot of new stuff I'm expecting also.
And I think we also should also be aware of this, especially if you're going to make a RAG application, where you basically can chat with your own data. That one thing which is very important in all AI products is basically data, the data itself. Because if you have bad quality data, then it doesn't matter so much what kind of machine learning algorithm you're employing, because you will still have a bad result. So so I think the key here is to try to start out with trying to achieve good quality data.
Indeed. I noted a couple of days ago, I must be honest now, because you said that with the data. Now, on 1st of January, I have already deployed one model, basically, and it's empty, if I may call it like that, basically some basic informations. Now, if I say it, it will be deja vu, like a lot of people that, if I say that I'm fan of Iron Man and Marvis, I think, or Jarvis, sorry. Jarvis was what he is saying there, his GPT model, his robot. So I'm thinking to provide my data, to create my own model. For example, I don't know, hi, my name is Martin, this and that, and all data to be in my model. And basically later, to share the data with the model, all the data family, this, that, salary, blah, 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 blah. It will be just for me. And then whatever I ask, I will try, for example, just with audio to say, hey, can you help me with this? How much taxes I should pay, for example? How should I fill this? Or can you help me with that and this? So I'm thinking it will be challenging. I know that. But I want to try myself a little bit as a challenge for 2025 to create, instead of all the time. For example, it happened a couple of months ago. Go to your private email. Now find, I don't know, the birth certificate, passport. Where was the passport? Where is the ID? Where is this? Where is the tax I need to submit? For example, all that stuff. So I want to make it a little bit easy, approachable for me. I would say, just to press audio and say, hey, can you calculate for me the taxes? You have the information already there. And I think I need to store a lot of PDFs and all that stuff. But let's see, that's my challenge for 2025, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that sounds useful.
Indeed. It will help, but it will spend a lot of time, I think, for all of us, because I suppose for you is the same, and all of us that are working in this industry, if I may call like that. Private email, company email, then you created another email because of I don't know what, then another email from the past, something, so many emails. In the past, I was using Power Automate to send to this from that, forwarding, la. But now I think maybe it's a next step to challenge myself with this AI. And it's quite nice to have your own model with your data. So it will be interesting, indeed.
And I guess also one challenge here is now, in addition to emails, you also have the text messages, and you probably have Teams, and you have WhatsApp, and so on. So if someone says, do you remember this? And then you say, yeah, I remember, I got a link about it, but where? And then you need to spend 10, 15 minutes just to go through. Yes.
again. Indeed, a lot of sources for incoming informations for us. I think there was one video, maybe I will share it later with you, for productivity in 2020. I was watching a lot, which application, this and that, and there is one guy which really sorted properly what we talk now. He's called Francesco. He is really focused just productivity tools, analyzing all of these tools and all that stuff. So how he started, basically what we said, what is my incoming data? And as you said, WhatsApp, Teams, email, company, email another, I don't know, some other, what he's using as a text message. So all of these are his incoming, and then he basically split it on a different categories. This goes, I don't know, in Microsoft To Do. This goes in OneNote. This goes in Planner. This goes in my Google Calendar, for example. That's how he organized his day. So I was watching this 2020, so it reminds me now just to share. Indeed.
I remember I was listening to Scott Hanseman, his podcast, and then there was one guy who was working also with some productivity tools, and what he said, that usually you're trying to solve a problem, and then you're Googling to find the solution, and then maybe you find a link, and maybe that link isn't the right solution, but it's still a very interesting link, but it's just not interesting right now. And then if you would continue, then you open up a new tab and so on, and you continue, and then after 5 minutes you've forgotten about that important link here. But what he did was that he was creating a tool like a notepad where you could basically paste in both the link and some context. And that was also searchable. So then you could search either on date or some keywords. So it was possible for you to retrieve that information that you found.
That will be quite beneficial for all of us, I think, with so many links. Bookmark this, bookmark that. So it's a lot of links, indeed. Wow. Yeah, it will be challenging, and I think I'm usually doing that, so maybe not for you, but for all the other listeners later and all that stuff. Usually from 20 till 10th of January, I'm doing this reorganization for me every year, because all the time now it connect my dots, basically, that we have every year something new is coming out for income of data, if I may call like that. And for example, because I want to separate that, for example, this year I knew one new email address for this podcast because I really wanted to keep it on a different, for example, if tomorrow something happened and all that stuff. So again, if you feel all of that, and then categorize where it goes, and again in March, April, it will come something new. And then you need to realign all of that, which is quite complicated sometimes. But indeed, we need to try to be organized from time to time, I would say. I'm saying like that. And I think GPT, maybe it can help in the near future.
Yes. Yeah, because I think one of the biggest challenges here for us as developers is not that the solution is not there. It is that the solution is there, but you need to find it. So I think most of the programming problems that we come across has been solved in one way or the other. It's just that we need to find that solution.
Indeed, I agree completely on that. And it takes really a lot of time because there is so many, as you said, a lot of applications. Also, if we now focus on productivity or AI solutions, something, if you open productivity applications, mate, you don't know what to click first. I mean, there are so many. Everyone say calendar, planner, notes, this, that. And it's really crazy. I know 2021, when I was planning to do that, monthly, 10 euros for this, 10 euros for that, 10 euros for this application, for that. And then when you calculate, 60 euros for your planning, which is quite a lot. After that, I finish on paper, by the way. Just completely undigital, if I may say like that, completely manual writing and all that stuff, which is quite crazy.
But I think there are also different modes for different challenges. So sometimes if you want to design something or you want to be creative, it could be worth just going with pen and paper because it's a little bit slower process, but you're more invested and you're more there sort of inside the problem, working with it.
So 2 years ago, I must be honest, now I am thinking just aloud with you sharing. I bought Remarkable, to be honest. The only benefit that I have, it's completely black and white. I mean, like a paper and all that stuff. So the only beneficial that I was looking is send to email. Because I want to have one email where after we discuss and after my notes taken, I can forward to email without any problem. So I can have it digital tomorrow and I can see what we talk instead of, where I was and now you look through the pages, a lot of manual stuff. So that helped me a lot, to be honest. And now we have a new version, which is quite double price from this one, but that's different discussion. Indeed, we discussed a lot about AI. How Håkan started in this computer world, if I may say like that, mate?
Yes, so
long time ago. Long time ago.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Then I had a friend who had a ZX Spectrum, ZX81. So that was sort of my first encounter with the computer. And with this ZX Spectrum, it was very low on memory. I think it had like 1K memory, and then you could buy an expansion card or expansion slot, so you could get up to 16K memory. And that also meant that if you wanted to do something like play a game or something, you had to type in that game or program in that game, and then when you turned off the PC, it just disappeared. So then the next time you started up, if you want to do something, then you needed to actually to program it again.
I'm just looking at Google with the images, and it's quite interesting. I never seen this, to be honest, and it's quite interesting about this.
And it has a very, very interesting keyboard. It was like a membrane or like a sort of rubber keyboard, which was also very, very nice. So one of the first games I played was something called Battleships, where you
I think Battleships it was, indeed.
So you play against the computer, and then you have some boats out. It could be submarines, and it could be other boats, and then you're trying to sink the other opponent's boats. But it was basically just, it was very primitive in today's measure. So it was just, squares, like 3 squares was a submarine and so on, and so forth.
Wow. Well, what basically what how you went basically from this, if I may say, what was the first touchable for you to start in the IT world? In case, I mean, development,
Uh,
learning, or
as so I would say that from the ZX Spectrum, it went to because this was before the PC, but people could have an IBM computer, and then I myself had a Commodore 64
yeah,
computer that was usually mainly based for playing games. So
indeed,
I didn't do that much programming at all until I started at university, basically. But I was using computers and technology more as a consumer and for fun.
indeed. What you were playing on Commodore, if I may ask like that?
So I think one of the games, because at this point in time there was also magazines where people were reviewing games, and one of the games that got the best reviews was a game called Boulder Dash, where you're trying to find diamonds inside sort of a cave. And I actually saved that computer magazine. I was looking through it some years ago, and then they were raving all about what type of graphics it had, and it was so amazing graphics. But then when you look at it now, you don't really get that same impression.
Indeed. Yeah, the nice graphics for us was the squares in the past.
Mm.
Squares on the
Yes.
monitors where
Mhm.
you can see the squares on all of that stuff. Wow, so you were playing a lot of games, mate, if I may ask
Uh,
like that.
and I think also one interesting thing here is that since the graphics was a bit limited, then you needed to have a very good game ID. Like the strategy behind the game needed to be really thought through, because otherwise no one would be bothered playing your game unless it
Indeed.
had a good strategy.
Ooh, indeed. What I really is missing for me, to be completely honest with you, mate, I'm missing the magazines where the people were reviewing,
Mm.
so you can see
Uh,
it. Even
mm,
now, I'm not sure if there is still a lot on the market. From
mm,
time to time, I can find some PDF on the internet just to see
mm, mm,
what is there and all the
mm,
stuff, but mostly it's tips and tricks.
mm,
AI changing the world,
mm,
AI is
uh,
taking your job, la la la.
mm,
So somehow the content change is not the
yes.
same quality, of course, like
Uh,
in the past.
mm.
Somehow,
And
or
I,
maybe because we have access to all of this data, so
uh,
maybe my mind it's a little bit,
mm.
and all that
Because
stuff.
we also need to think about that this was pre-internet, so there was nowhere to save to share things, globally. So basically, what people did was they could write into the magazine, and then they could publish a game, and then you could just type it on your own PC, and then you found out that it didn't work, and then the next month they came with the correction. Oh, sorry, we made a mistake. It should have been on line 15. It should have been this or that. And
Indeed. And I
mm,
think on the beginning there was one email address, gaming at some
mm,
or games at the company or the newspaper something.com, where you can send an email. Hey, your configuration, if there is a problem or something. So in the beginning was
mm,
quite interesting to see all of these
uh,
challenges and
yeah, yeah,
all the
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. And
Indeed.
and then I remember when I started at university. Then there were two competing browsers. So the first one was called Mosaic. I don't know if
Mosaic,
you've heard about
yeah,
that.
I know
Yes.
that one. I know
And
that one.
another one was Netscape Navigator. Um,
Netscape, indeed. I catch a not on the beginning, but before
mm,
basically it ends. But the Netscape
mm,
was really nice, interesting. We have seen all
uh,
the movies, later, I think
mm,
all of us. But it's really nice to see all of that, what was happening. What was the first, I would say. I think there was something like AOL,
yes, I was a
AOL
America Online, I think it's called.
online.
Mm,
Indeed. Wow, so many things in the past. But these things are not working
mm,
anymore, if I may say like that.
mm, uh,
So we have a lot of new things and new stuff. Now we have Teams, so it's easier. I think you can call anyone and all that stuff, which is quite different. And so many browsers and so many stuff, so many different mail addresses. So it's
mm,
completely a lot of things have changed from that period.
uh,
So now
uh,
connecting to your story, when you started university,
mhm.
you started IT, if I'm asked like that.
No, actually, so when I had I had quite good grades from high school, so I could more or less choose what I wanted to study. So then I went to like a study visit on 10 different universities in Sweden, and was trying to find out both what kind of topics are they studying and what is sort of the vibe, or how I should call it, of the place. So then I started in the north of Sweden, in a city called Luleå, which is very far up north. And then I was deciding either studying applied physics, because I liked physics and mathematics, or computer science or electrical engineering. But then I thought that since I didn't have any background in programming and so on, I thought that maybe I would be sort of the odd person out if I chose computer science. So, and in addition, in high school, I had taken electronics and power electronics. So then, and I really liked that. So then I started electrical engineering.
Wow, electronics. That was really a hardcore, if I may say, motherboard with all the and to check the pins on the motherboard on the bottom if it's working and all the stuff,
Yes.
which is quite interesting.
So I think what I liked about it it's both, it was very, very practical. You work with electronics, but it's also theoretical. You were studying different kind of mathematics related to signal processing and telecommunication and robotics, and it was quite a broad curriculum. So you got to know a little bit about a lot of different topics.
True. So you're going on the electronics, and I think in that period, computers and the electronics are getting, if I remember good, they are going in the same magazine in some time of the. In the past, if I remember good. So you have electronics, half of the magazine, and then you see what's happening in the computer world, if I remember good.
That's right.
Yeah. A lot of different stuff was happening at the same time. That's true. And when is the time when you switch to the computer world, if I may say like that? Because of the electronics, it have a lot of things in that period, because I must be honest, in I think that was 2000, I was volunteering in one company, so they are completely hardware. I'm saying now software, nothing. Basically, my only software was Vinamp to play music in that period, I remember. But from hardware perspective, you see motherboards, you see, plus, minus, what's called the lights, the small lights there, if it's not working on the computer when you're shutting down or restarting the computer and all that stuff. So that's why I'm asking when it's coming after the electronics, because a lot of people I know, friends, that in that period when they went on electronics, they stay at the electronics, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so basically what happened was that I was finishing university, and I was writing my final year project about telecommunication. And then I got accepted into like a trainee program for ABB, a very big power and robotics company. And then I got to start at the research department. And at that department, they were working with many new type of technologies and trying to see how can we use these technologies in order to achieve new results here for our different business units. So around the same time, this is around 1999, Java came out. So then I started out as a Java programmer, but then in 2001, if I'm not mistaken, .NET came out, the first version of .NET. So then I took a chance on that, and then I basically haven't looked back since then.
One question: what tools you were using in that period, if I may ask? For example, for Java, it was not Notepad for sure, or
no, it was actually called, I think it's called was something Visual Builder. I don't remember exactly what the name was, but there was an
idea. Something either. Yes. I remember for Java a little bit on this period. But I don't remember exactly what was for Java and for the other. For .NET, I suppose it was Visual Basic. I think it was, or not?
In the beginning when they released .NET, the idea here was to release like a runtime, and that you could use different type of languages. C# is one language, and Visual Basic.NET is another language, and all in all, I think they had 20 or even more languages that you then could choose a language, and then you could compile it down to this common language runtime. So initially I was starting out with VB.NET, but then after a while it became more C#. So like the new functionality and the new sort of programming paradigms were in C#.
Indeed. In that period, everything was, I think, with Tiago said he had the copy of the book, or he was showing. And I think in that period was, if you want to learn something, you need to have the book basically,
Yes.
and start reading the code, how to write the code basically. Which I catch that, by the way, for Pascal and Pascal and Visual C, and then C++. So that's when I started. It was really tough. You don't have copy button. That was the biggest problem. You need to read and retype if it's working really or not, which was quite complicated in that period, if I may be honest.
Yeah, because we didn't have access either to PDF at that time either. So the only way was actually to get hold of that book and then basically read the book from the first page to the last page.
Indeed. We are talking 300, 400 pages, something like that. So it's quite big. True. Wow. After that, you're continuing as a developer, mate, or you want to explore a little bit? Because in that period also, I remember, was Windows Server 2003, let's say, with GUI and all that stuff.
Yes, I was a little bit. So I started out with Java programming and then went into .NET programming. But then after a while, I also got to be like a technical project lead. So then it was a little bit less programming. But then I also found out that I really, my passion was actually to more solve the problem more than leading the projects.
Yeah.
So then I went back more into technical role. And now I think we are in 2004 or something. So then I was fortunate to get into a project where we were developing a totally new product using a Windows Communication Foundation and Windows Presentation Foundation, which was totally new frameworks for Microsoft. So that was very, very, very interesting.
Frameworks?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
So
tell it again. Windows Communication.
Yeah, it's called WCF and WPF.
WCF.
Yes.
Okay, WCF, I get that one. I saw, but I never was curious about what was the meaning. Now you what was this? Indeed.
So, and then also there was also some focus on Silverlight, which was a technology very similar to Flash, but Microsoft decided not to continue with that technology. So. And and then after some time, I'd been working more in the process industry, developing different applications. So then I was thinking maybe it could be nice to try out being a consultant. So then in 2010, I sort of had a bigger career shift. So then I went into consulting.
Before 2010, if I may ask, do you challenge yourself for taking some certificate, maybe? Thinking loud.
No, because the thing was that where I was working before, I was working more into process automation and robotics, and then there was no really incentive to take certifications. And I didn't know anyone who had taken a certification, and I don't know. Probably I didn't even knew that there were certifications existed. But then
I
when
completely agree with you, by the way, on this, because for me it was really, how to say it, dark side in my mind. For example, when I need to think before, for example, in 2010, I remember I was working Windows Server 2008 migration, but it was never about, do you have the certificate? Do you know about it? Like now, for example, if you think 14 years ago, the people didn't for so many certificates and to be certificate. But now, in the past, was completely different. And basically, as you said, I completely agree. For me, it was the same. It was a dark side in my mind that nobody was even talking. Hey, did you take that exam to get this certificate? No, it was always, hey, do you know to develop this? Do you know to develop that? Do you know this and that?
Yes.
All the time.
So, but then I switched to consulting in 2010, and then as a consultant, both for you personally as a consultant, but also for the consultancy company, it's important that your consultants actually have the right certifications, so that you can win different types of bids. So then we created like a study group. So I think there were 10 of us that were studying for our first Microsoft certification, which was the Windows Communication Foundation. And then I thought that since I had, yes, WCF. So then I thought that since I have had several years of experience doing this, it should be doable passing this certification. But what we did was, first we had a study group, so we got together every week, one evening a week, from August to December or something, and then we had set a specific date. And but we found, and then we had the official like textbook from Microsoft to prepare. So we went through all the chapters and all the assignments in that textbook, and then I signed up for the exam, and then I went for the exam, and then I failed. So then, I spent, 4 months very intense, and then after that I failed, and then I thought, oh wow, that was really challenging. But then I thought, okay, let's take another try. So then I bought another book, and then I went through all the assignments and chapters for that, and then I guess I spent maybe 2 months or something preparing again, and then I went to the exam, and I thought, oh no, I've studied 2 times, and I should pass. And then I tried the exam, and then I failed. But then I tried it, yes, again. But then I tried it again the third time, and then I passed it. And then it turned out that this exam, I didn't know about it at that time, but this WCF, or Windows Communication Foundation exam, was one of the harder Microsoft exams at that time.
In that period, so, indeed.
Yeah.
But 3 times in a row, even if I go back on university, when I failed 2-3 times for some exam, I cannot learn this and all of that. And now I don't know, it's quite motivating, this story for me. 2 times to fail, and then again I will go to achieve. And in that period, I must mention, why I'm mentioning and pointing, because some people don't understand how easy it's now. You select the country and you press schedule the exam. In that period, you need to buy books, you need to book the exam, you need to pay something maybe double from now. I think in that period was quite expensive to take the exam, and you don't know what will happen, basically. And then you fail 2 times and 3.
Bravo. Yeah, those are important areas also, that you couldn't take it at home. You were not that was not possible at that time. So you had to go to a specific test center, and you had to stand in line, and this and that. So it was a little bit complicated.
Cameras. Wow, mate, good job. Kudos. I must be honest.
I think that was my first certification. It was called Microsoft Certified Technology Specialist, I think was the title. And then you could also, if you took 3 of these MCTS exams, then you could take another exam called MCPD, Microsoft Certified Professional Developer.
Indeed.
So then I was just, I was sort of, I had the momentum up. I was used to studying for the exams. So then I basically just continued. So between 2011 and 2014 or 2015, then I took basically all the Microsoft's developer exams that were available. So they were actually they were joking with me at the test center. So they said that I should get my own key to the test center, because I was there so often.
If I may ask honestly, but now looking from this perspective, for example, if I send you back, for example, how many 13 years ago, is it the failing of the exam was about butterfly in the stomach because it was your first time? Because 2 times reading the same, if I may say, I don't expect that in that period you will fail so easy. Do you think it was more butterfly in the stomach instead of the knowledge? That's what I think.
Yeah, I think, one thing that people who takes exams should take into account is that it's also sort of an art in itself to take the exam, so sort of schedule your time. And I've experienced that also in later years, that all of a sudden I think that I'm almost done with the exam, and then I push the button, and then it says, oh, here's a case study, and then I have 10-15 minutes left. So that has happened a couple of times. that's very extremely stressful. But yeah, so but it also has to do with the way back in that time the Microsoft exams were, should I say, much more theoretical oriented. So sometimes they asked for a particular, like class library. What's the name of this class library that this this function belongs to, for example? And then that's a very detailed knowledge that you don't really need to know, because you have the help of your IDE to figure that out. You don't need to remember it by heart. But in order to pass the exam, you needed actually to remember that by heart. Whereas then in 2018 or something, they started with this more role-based certifications, that the ones that we have now, like Azure Developer and so on. So they are much more focused on a specific job role. So it's much more practical and much more, I would say, reality oriented. So then you get questions that are very, very real, that are much more closer to the things that you do in your everyday work.
Before COVID, I think it was 2020, if I'm not mistaken, to be honest with you. I was taking in that period, I'm not sure, administrator or the Azure DevOps in that period, because I was already working, so I wanted to certify myself. There was a practical, basically, and I remember even the question. I think it was how to peer the two virtual networks, but you need to create network under one, and then another, and then to peer them. And there was 2-3 other but technical exercises where you click execute. It was popping up a window basically from Azure portal, and you start immediately with doing the technical stuff, which I found it really nice. It's stressful a lot is stressful. You need to write also. There was a PowerShell, and in that period was I think just Azure CLI in that period, some basic commands, if create a storage with CLI and these type of things. It's nice but stressful at the same moment. But what I see after the first or second time, it's quite easier. It's becoming more easier, I think, because you're expecting already that you will get the exercise. How is it in the reality? Because at work, and I think it's a good preparation, because at work, your manager is coming and say, yeah, we need to migrate, we need to deploy this, we need to do this. So you will feel less stress, if I may say like that, even later at work, in my opinion, to be honest with you.
And also as an advisor, so right now Microsoft has sort of two different kind of credentials. So one is the certifications that we're talking about now, but they also have something called applied skills. So with the certification, you need to pay a fee in order to do the exams and so on. But with the applied skills, they are actually for free. And what happens is that you get like a learning path that you can practice, and then after that you log into like a virtual machine, and then you have 2 hours to solve like a very practical task. So you log into the computer, and then you get credentials to log on into Azure and log into an email box, and then you get the instructions in this email box that we are a company that we need help with this and that, and then it's up to you to solve it. So I think that's that's also a very interesting and rewarding experience to try to do that.
True.
And
so many
all of that is
from 10 years ago. Reading a book, and now you can sit immediately for free and try that, and which I really like. And that's my, to be honest, biggest advice to all the people. Everything is there, guys. Theory, 2 clicks, you're there. If you don't know what to learn, click here. It will open a lot of things if you know what you're willing to achieve and all. If you want to practice your site, to check your practical knowledge, do you really know how to create this and that? It's again free, and you can go there and all the stuff. And there will be always some people that will find some excuse. Yeah, it was not working. It was this, it was that, which is really, I'm saying like
and
that.
I think it's probably individual here, but at least for me, it's interesting to start with a practical problem that you want to solve something, and then use the technology as like a means to solve a problem. So for me, I don't like using a technology just for using that technology. I want to be able to solve a practical problem for someone.
Some scenario, use case, or whatever, basically. so you can resolve instead of just click, click, and basically you are done. I agree on that one. Indeed, my friend. Really nice. What was your first cloud certificate, if I may ask like that? Because you took till 2015-16, if I understand correctly, all the dev certificates, and in that period was, if I remember good, there were no Azure certificates, so they came later, I think.
Yes, I started out with the Azure Fundamentals, and then after that I went with the Azure Developer, and then I took Azure Administrator and the Azure DevOps. And then after that, I got more into machine learning and AI. So I took the AI engineer and the data scientist certification, and then the data engineer certification. And now in some recent years, I've been focusing more on security. So I've taken some security-related exams.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah, on the AI exams, I have one question to you. As experienced, if I may say, developer with a lot of background on the development, because I took the 2 exams, if I may be honest, about AI and all that stuff, machine learning and data. Do you think that they need to include also additional language? Because so far I see just Python and .NET, because I got some comments from people, but it's only Python and .NET, maybe they should include this, and the people are just counting. What do you think, if I'm asked like that? Just curious.
Yeah, I mean, at least historically in the data science and machine learning communities, Python has been one of the languages that has been most used, together with another language which is called R, which is
R. I know that one.
So I think it makes sense here to have Python, and if it's a Microsoft certification, it also makes sense to have something in .NET, because
Wow. Python and R. So the people that are willing to learn, maybe it's good to them also, for those who are not ready, because everyone is saying, I know this and that, but I'm not developer, blah, blah, blah. So I got a couple of questions last 2-3 weeks about, hey, what language would you recommend, and this and that. Basically depends, from the person, what is needed and all the stuff. So somebody's coming here, Java, this, that, and I said, no, look, it depends what you want to achieve, because every language, every framework, if I may say, have a different, on a different, how it's called, on a different goals you can create, on different projects they work, and all that stuff. Because even I was making, how it's called, distinction, if I may say, how easier it's with Python. I must be honest now, sorry, .NET people. But I opened in parallel. We as a trainers also, we have the labs, basically the examples. So I opened the Python code and .NET code on one screen and another screen. With Python, it's so easy. I mean, in my view, maybe for the .NET people it's different. It's so easy. It's so, how to say, understandable. Even logistics. If you see it, it's quite understandable. Then you can figure it out. I would say quite easy. On the .NET side, for me, I must be honest, I tried, but it was quite complicated to get to the point what I wanted to achieve. For example, from where this come from, why this is here, why is that there? And that's how I think I switched also completely to the Python. I know stuff I always wanted to gain some new knowledge about .NET, but it was always quite complicated to me, to be honest with you.
I think maybe we can draw some similarities here in the front end world. So right now, if you're going to do a front end application, it can quickly get quite complicated. Here you have packet managers, and you need to choose a framework, if it's React or Angular or Vue, and so on. So let's say that your developer team is mostly used with .NET, and they don't have any JavaScript experience. Then it can be quite a hurdle to overcome to start to work here with this. So in that sense, you could use a Blazor project, which is a Microsoft technology, so that you can write both backend and the front end in .NET. So I think it's a little bit similar here than if you do machine learning. Then if you have people that are only used here with Microsoft.NET, you could use, for example, semantic kernel, which is available both in .NET, Java, and Python, but .NET is the one which is more fully fledged. So I think it's always depends on what kind of experience does your developer have.
Indeed.
Yep.
And if I may ask you, what's the easiest way if I want to gain some knowledge for .NET, if I may ask like that? I use the Microsoft Learn materials, but
Yes.
I really want to deep dive a little bit. This I didn't check if there is applied skills with .NET. Maybe that would help to me
Yes.
just to see.
Yeah, there's at least some Microsoft Learn learning path about semantic kernel, and also the semantic kernel itself in the documentation also has some nice tutorials.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's good to be checked. I would say in the next 2-3 weeks, just because of the free time. So I'm just thinking loud because I think if we, why I'm asking all of this, maybe because I have a point on all of this, because I think a lot has happened in 2024. Everyone is saying AI, and every day we are getting some latest updates, some new updates, some new features. Something happened in the background with that. So I think it's that's why I'm asking, for example, also for the people that are listening, they think that some people or a lot of people, a lot of people, AI thinks it's just Chat GPT, and that's it, the world, Yeah, I'm using Chat GPT, so that's AI. Martin was wrong. No, mate, that's completely not just that. It's part of that. There is a lot of other things that's happening. So also for me, I'm saying that maybe it's good now on the beginning, because I'm always that type of guy. I want to gain this knowledge, so later it will be easier, because usually now, if how it's called, the secret, public secret, I'm saying like that, basically that everyone knows, is if you get the knowledge on the beginning, later all the improvements goes above the foundation, which means it will help you to get the knowledge for the other, how it's called, other stairs that will be built there for gaining knowledge. So it will be easier for all the others that are planning to use AI, .NET, semantic kernel, RAG applications, and all that stuff, which will be quite easy, to be honest. That's why I'm asking all of this, to be honest, mate.
Because I think that right now, since there has been so much focus here on ChatGPT and Copilot and generative AI in the past two years, a lot of people are rightfully, confused, or maybe they believe that AI is only generative AI. But we should remember that that AI is not a new field. It's been around since the end of the 50s, and that we can use AI to do forecasting and prediction and speech to text and text to speech and object detection and all of this, and we can still do it, and there's still a lot of value in doing it. And again, here there are also different kind of flavors. So in Azure, you have services that you can just call like a REST service, and you send in some data and you get it back. But you can also train your own models, so make use of already pre-trained models. So there are sort of different type of flavors, that depending on what you want to do and depending on how much knowledge you have.
Indeed. And I think it's a good time of period where all of us need to think about, what is going where and where is going, basically all that stuff, so they can align their goals. Also, I would say for those who want to gain some new knowledge, because every year I'm challenging myself, something new, just to see and all the stuff, how it goes. And now it connects the dots, because there is a lot of services. And I know a couple of people from companies, they're asking me about AI vision. I must ask you, maybe you know more, maybe not, but is there any idea or something for the Europe when this, because what I understand on the internet, because I was reading, in United States, this AI vision, it's approved. So, for example, any company can put a camera there, and basically they can scan your face and access granted, Tom Cruise, like Mission Impossible, we die. But in Europe, it's still not a law at that. Is there anything discussion about that, or still not?
I'm actually a little bit unsure about that particular thing, but I think that, in general, we are much more restrictive here in Europe, and we are taking the personal identifiable information. We try to protect it as much as possible, whereas in other countries, like for example the America, that has less importance.
Yeah, because a couple of customers also asked it, and colleagues that are working in some other companies, they said, hey, do you have an idea? Because there is a nice demos from Microsoft about recognizing the products in the store, so you can use the AI vision to scan all of that, and how much are on these things, how many products it have, for example, coffees or this and that. So that's why also there is a lot of how to say interest on this in Europe, but I agree on this that it's quite restricted so far. But I was thinking something is happening maybe in the background if you have heard of that. But I suppose next year maybe.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And I think
Indeed.
if I can make like a prediction for next year, so this year in 2024, some of the terms that we've heard a lot is large language models, and we heard about prompt engineering, and we heard about RAG applications. But if I can make a prediction, I guess, or a forecast, I think that 2025 will be the year of quantum computing and quantum technology. So basically, quantum technology is making use of some principles of physics, of like molecular physics and atomic physics, where things doesn't really behave as it behaves in in our world. So that makes it possible that we can do calculations that would take thousands of years. We can do them in a matter of minutes.
We started 2 months ago. I'm not sharing, I mean, because we started here where I work from security side, to be honest with you, about the quantum computing and everything that is happening. There is a colleague that is really, he's really, how to say, passionate about this, and he's really want to, and he said, yeah, I think Microsoft have already, if you want to test it out, for those who are interested, of course, there is a URL address where you have a code there, and you can see a practical example how that works and the correlations and all the stuff. So for those who want to play out, they can search quantum computing on the internet. Microsoft, it will have some type already prepared demo where you can play around a little bit with the quantum computing.
Yeah, because I think at least up to now there has been a lot of interest from the security community, because a lot of security algorithms, one of the sort of foundations is that you try to make an algorithm which will take so much time for a hacker that it's not worth it. But if the hacker can use quantum technology, that argument sort of fails or sort of falls. So I think this could be very, very interesting, and not only in security but also in many like scheduling domains, or where you need to schedule deliverances and other things that can take a long time. So right now maybe you need to do some approximations that that this will take far too much time to do exactly, but then we can set in some values here and some values there, which make it much more faster to compute.
Indeed. Does that mean that you're planning now to jump in a little bit in the quantum computing?
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, so at least for me, I would consider myself like a lifelong learner. So, and I also think that it's especially it's both for me interesting, but I also think it's relevant to at least keep a little bit updated. So you don't need to be an expert, but maybe you read the blog post about quantum computing, or maybe you've taken a Coursera course, or you watch a YouTube video, so that a little bit what it can be.
That's how it started 2 months ago for me. 3 months ago, the colleague shared some blog post. Yeah, what is happening? I just opened it and I read it. I said, wow, is this really happening? And then after that, we have a chit chat at work, coffee. Hey, we need to start that. You know that? And I said, yeah, but you can start that. I see you are passionate. You're sharing blog posts on LinkedIn, doing this and that. Yeah, but we are all together. You from this side, we will see from this side and that side. And that's how basically the idea came up. But I agree with you that 2025 and also 6, to be honest, I think it will be a huge things related to that, similar like AI. And I can imagine in 2030 when the both things will be merged, AI and the quantum computing. And I'm afraid to say anything more about the technology now. That will be really crazy, if I may say it like that. What are your challenges, mate? If I may ask for 2025, because you give really, I like it. Your basically forecast for the next year. I agree completely. And we heard on the beginning about AI. But what is
Yes.
Hakan's challenges, for example, to learning something new and all that stuff? If I may ask like that, as I say, to keep the motivation and to gain some new knowledge about it, if I may say like that. What are
So
the
I think,
goals?
so some of my goals here is, so I've had a lot of focus here on Microsoft certifications for a long time. And right now I'm just 3 certifications short of reaching my goal here. So my goal is to take the Azure Security Engineer exam, and then the Azure Cybersecurity Expert exam, and the Azure Architect exam. Yes. So if I take these 3, then I've reached 30 Microsoft exams, which is a nice figure, I guess. But then I also think it's also worthwhile, to expand your horizons, to look into a little bit on Google and AWS, and especially in the machine learning and in the data engineering space, to see what kind of bring they have.
True. Connecting to these dots, I think I shared a couple of weeks ago here on with somebody, but because you said because of the data, I'm looking forward also the next year. Is not that I put it the goals already, but that's my idea. I want to take a look in the Databricks AI. I saw I have access. It's quite crazy and quite nice what they do. But also I want to check the Fabric one. Fabric is quite interesting. I didn't have any touch point more than 30 minutes. I was just click just to see what is that and what is happening. So I think for next year, these two will be quite challenging, which Fabric especially, which is quite complex, but also the Databricks, because it's completely, how it's called, a different portal, different technology, not but different, where to click, because in Microsoft you have left side, the menu and all that stuff. So it will be challenging, I must be honest.
Yeah, so I mean, all of these things are very, very relevant and important. So both Fabric and Databricks are also exciting technologies.
Indeed. And new technologies, which I think they're next year or the next 2-3 years will become really more using from the customers and people, I would say. And also it's connecting with the data, basically. You integrate the data to this application, which is quite nice to see that. Perfect. This is nice. My last question. What is your favorite book and what is your current book that you're reading?
Well, right now I'm not really reading so much books. I used to read, first I used to read paper books, and then after a while I used to read, I guess books on Kindle and other things. But then after a while I noticed that I was buying a lot of books, but I never had time to read them.
Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club.
So then for me, I've tried also to use some of these services like Audible and other things where you can listen to the book, but for me it doesn't really work so good. So I'm focusing much more on podcasts. So I'm listening to quite a lot of podcasts, and then if there is something that I find really interesting, then I just try to dive deeper into it, through YouTube or finding a blog about it. So so for me it's been podcast is the way that I can learn about new things. And I guess in the past it used to be Twitter, but since there's been some changes in Twitter, then it's not really the place to be anymore. So podcast and
Blue Sky,
Blue Sky.
Blue Sky is the place to be, indeed. And your favorite book?
I don't think.
Just don't say Azure Security Handbook.
Well, actually, there's a book called Team Topologies, which talks more about organizational issues and how you can create an organization to enable, rapid feedback and rapid product development. So that can be worth reading, even if you're not, even if you're a pure developer, it can still give you quite a lot of insights.
Indeed. That's nice. This is nice. Team Apologies, correct? If I understand correct.
Yes.
That's nice to hear. Indeed, this one is getting on the list, and one more. I think Tiago suggested nice one. AI and the humans or something. I think I wrote
Oh,
it somewhere here. So it's quite. He
yes,
said it's quite interesting and quite nice book, and he
yes.
recommended really to all of us to read. Basically, especially
Mm.
people that are working AI and following all the
Yep.
latest things. So
Mm.
they will find really interesting all insight there.
Yep.
Perfect. Mate, I want to say a
Yes.
big thank you and all the stuff. I'm wishing the best time in your life in the coming 2-3 weeks to rest, to take family time, just enjoy, if I may say like
Mhm.
that. I'm wishing also to all the viewers to this podcast. We will continue in January 10 or 14, something like that. Yeah, I will share on LinkedIn. But I want to thank you, first of all, you. I think it was tough with the switching. You were on conference and this and that, but
Yeah.
we fixed that. I'm happy to say,
Yes.
and I think
Uh,
yeah, all the time. Today the whole day for me it's
mm.
AI. And while I
Uh,
was traveling, I said, you know what? In my mind, thinking loud now. Yeah, AI the full day. 17
mm.
was even scheduled couple of 3 months ago. This that what I have done today, and basically it happened for you in less minute. You went on a conference, and
Mm.
then yeah, let's switch. And then I was thinking, yeah, AI today, and then how can it's AI? This is impossible. How this aligned
Mm. Mm.
accidentally that the
No.
full day for
Mm.
me it's AI, and now
Yes.
even I must be honest, motivated to sit and just start, what we discussed today also in this training.
Yes.
Yeah, generate AI
Mm.
prompt. Now what you said,
Yep.
quantum computing,
Mm.
AI. Sometimes it's
Mm.
really nice motivation, I would say, also for
Yeah.
me,
Mm.
with all these things that is happening.
Mm.
But to summarize, I wanted to say thank you one more time from bottom of my heart. Have a nice vacation, Christmas period, if I may say like that. Start strong in 2025, as I'm saying. So on a
Yes.
big note.
Mhm.
So indeed, thank you a
Yeah.
lot,
Yeah.
mate.
Yeah, I have to thank you to Martin. So because it was a little bit coincidence here, so I guess the audience doesn't know, but I saw that Martin, you just posted on LinkedIn that you were going to, you were in Oslo, I think. I think you posted
Yeah,
a
yeah,
picture
yeah,
of
yeah,
you in
yeah.
Oslo,
True, true,
and
true.
then I happened to see that, and then I was thinking that you're someone that I would like to meet. So then I was just sending out the message and asking if we could meet. And I think
True.
that's something that could be inspiring also for the other people that, it could have happened that maybe you would have, no, I don't have time and we would never have met, but you never know
Indeed.
what can happen when you meet a new person.
I
So,
always
and
learn.
thank you.
This I
Yeah.
learned on my
Yes.
first experience. Before you
Mm,
continue, one
yes.
person told me, "Yeah, I know he was working sales, but now from this
Mm,
perspective, after almost 20 years of experience, Martin, don't forget, networking is the
mm,
biggest power in the
mm,
any business and
mm,
any technology or anything, if I may say now, to do not say stupid thing or some gap.
mm,
So in
yeah,
anything, networking is the biggest power that you can have
mm,
anywhere. So, and it happens when you know more people, either it's knowledge, either it's help, either it's, I don't know, contact on LinkedIn or contact for this, for that. It's really, I would say, one of the most powerful thing.
mm,
So I would say, yeah, everyone, don't be lazy. Even on minus 510, go on dinner with your friend and met a
yes.
new guy, if I may say like
Uh,
that. Indeed.
yes. Yeah. So, so I also would like to thank you, Martin, for inviting me here to this podcast, and also thank everyone who has been listening and maybe sees this afterwards. And just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
I'm wishing the same. One more time. Thank you all and see you in 2025. Indeed. Bye bye.
Bye bye.